Alright, so today I'm going to do a little bit of a review of a knife I just picked up. It's a cool folder by a Montreal maker. His name's Peter Rassenti. His logo here comes in a box like that. The knife itself is called the Titanium Integral. Some places I've seen it named the Integral Alpha Hunter, or the Titanium Integral, or Titanium Integral Alpha Hunter. This one I picked up from Fort Henry Customs. Information on it is it's a S90V blade, a titanium handle with a large, actually licensed Spyderco hole for opening. The blade's a 3 1/4 inch, and it's out of S90V. It's pretty thick for its size. It's a 3/16 inch wide. And the cool thing about this knife, the thing that really I wanted to pick it up, was that it's got an integral handle. There's only a few makers out there that does this. It's milled out of a single piece of titanium, the whole thing, and essentially the inside's gutted out. There's a nice jimpings put on it, but it has maximum strength because there's no two pieces together. There's no scales on either side with an open back or full scale, so it's extremely tough. It has a very strong pivot. It's more like a bull pivot that you can find in say Striders and Hinders, for example, but this is actually a bearing pivot. It's licensed by GTC, who make extremely high-end custom knives, so it's very, very smooth, very comfortable to hold. I'm a southpaw, and it's got the extra piece here for bringing your finger up if you want to jump forward. Similar to Striders actually, which I'm more used to, but I really prefer that because if you're doing small things, you can put your hand forward, and it's very comfortable. But you can still hold your hand back if you're doing some other chores. Frame lock. The overall length, 7.9 inches. Like I said, a 3 1/4 inch blade, but the cutting length is actually closer to 2.6 inches. Got a nice belly, and originally I thought it was a hollow grind, but when I feel it, it feels more like almost like a light full to almost a convex grind. It kind of apple seeds down. The grind itself is not an apple seed though. It's a little bit heavier due to its integral handle. Weighs 6 ounces, but heavier is a relative term to other knives with titanium handles. Just a bit of a comparison that I can do is throw it next to a Strider SNG, which is quite similar in size. The blade in the Strider is just a touch longer. Both frame locks. The Strider has the exact same thickness of blade, 3 1/16. However, because of the G10 outer, it weighs only 4.5 ounces, so when you pick them up, you'll feel a bit of a difference. The blade is a little bit meatier in the Rassenti as well, just because, it's what some would call a 3 1/4 grind or something like that, because the edge starts further down, so there's more meat up here to provide more weight. Still similar in handle to a certain degree, just because of the two finger grips here, but overall they're both very comfortable to hold. But that's not here to review the Strider. The only complaint I had when I picked this thing up was that the pocket clip is extremely beefy. Now some might like that, it's extremely strong, but the problem was when it came right against the metal, and it's so stiff that I just couldn't get it on anything. I couldn't clip it to my pants anywhere. I couldn't clip it anything unless it was like paper thin, which we all know our pants are not like that. So I had to take something and slightly bend it up so I could have a bit of a room to slide something under, because it's not flexible as much as, say, pocket clip on a Strider, which gives you a little bit more flex. So when it's in my pocket, it's in there good. So if you need it in a hurry, it's going to be a bit of a tugging war, but I can get it out now. Overall though, it's a great knife, really like it. If you can find one, I'd say pick one up if you're into the customs. Fantastic knife. Close length, it's 4.7 inches, which is good size just for everyday carry. But I really like it. So what I'll do is maybe I'll do some close-ups with some macro, and then that'll be it. All right. So yeah, you can see it's pretty thick. It feels thicker on here just because the edges are a lot sharper. Strider tends to round it off a bit with the jimping. This one's quite sharp. You can see the edges a bit, which, you know, this does grip, but this grip's extremely very tough. I have a feeling it's going to be a bit of a war with my pants. Probably going to start falling apart, but I have no complaints about that. It's got a good detente. Rather than a hole like some other makers have, you can kind of see it there. It's an indent into the metal, so you're not losing anything for lint to go into that hole and get stuck, which I like. So, but it's strong, it's a bit of a force, strong enough to prevent it from flicking open them, which some places it creates legal problems. Pocket clip, like I said, screwed down, 2 torque screws, and it's thick. Bit of comparison. Here's your standard Strider pocket clip. That's like almost thicker than the scale to a certain. Yeah, it actually is thicker than the scale on the Strider, just for the clip itself. So it is tough, but it is very, very stiff, which I'd like to do something about so I can get my pants in there better. On the back, nice full integral. It's a hand rubbed finish. Very nice. Sure I don't get any lint on it. And the spider hole pivot thing, very comfortable to open. Pardon the focusing, this camera does not have an autofocus. So yeah, thick, wide piece of titanium, no holes, no cuts, one solid piece. The only thing here is drilled in. It's for the blade stop, and there's also a stopper pin inside that you can see right there, kind of deep in there. That stopper pin's there for when the knife is closed. It stops against that. The only spot here you can kind of tell is right there. You can't even see it on the other side. It's covered so well. I don't know if it actually goes through on this side. Actually, I don't think it does. I think it just went in here. Pivot. Like I said, it's more like a bull pivot. This side's just the screw round, and then it's just a torque on the other side. Pivot itself, I'm not going to take. I can't take the knife apart, but it's not IKBS, but it's a GTC bearing pivot. Don't know too much about it. I can add it later, but Cecchini or Cecchini, I forget his name, how to pronounce it, but he's a knife maker that he's kind of the one that's kind of made integral folders famous. There's a few makers that do it. I know Brad Southard's done one as well, but they are phenomenal. See his logo just under the pivot there, or just under the pocket clip. So it makes for the knife to be a very sterile looking, because there's no markings on the blade at all. But yeah, enjoy. If you have any questions, let me know. Let's see if I can answer them for you. Well, it's been a couple weeks after I finished doing my previous review on this knife, and I didn't post it because I made a little mention of my complaint with the pocket clip on one of the web forums, and Peter Rassenti actually contacted me saying that the pocket clip I had was of the previous model that he had, and he knew exactly the complaints I was talking about with regards to thickness and lack of flexibility. So he said there's a new pocket clip that he's been using, so he asked for my mailing address and he shipped me a new one. So this is the original pocket clip that was on there, slightly bent out, you can see, because I had to do that, but thicker. And then this is the newer one, obviously a lot thinner and a lot more flexible, because of you can see it's thinner here and as well thinner on both sides, so it goes in the pocket a bit better. Now when I got it, it's still a little tight compared to other pocket clips, just because it still is thick compared to a lot of other knives. So I did bend it out a tiny bit, but I didn't have to go as extreme with this one. So it's a great pocket clip, still a great knife. Been carrying it a lot more over the past 2 weeks here, and it's done really well for me. I had it out today. Great knife, very comfortable. All around, definitely something you want to check out. Now, it speaks a lot to the maker if he's willing to contact someone out of the blue just because of a little issue with the pocket clip, and send them a new one, no questions asked. So very happy, and thanks a lot.